Hey crafters, my name is Alex Vanover with DIY Alex, and if no one has welcomed you yet to the Cricut community, let me be the first one to say welcome, and we are so excited that you're here. I know firsthand how exciting, scary, and confusing it can be to have a brand new Cricut machine but have no idea how to take it out of the box, get it set up, and try your first project, which is why in this video we are going to do all those things together. First, I'm going to unbox this brand new Cricut Explore 3. But regardless of the new machine that you have, this video is going to have the same process regardless, so you can follow along no matter what machine you've bought. Then we're going to get it set up with a computer, create an account on Cricut.com, and do your first project all together in this video. So let's get started. So to get started, next let's unbox your new Cricut machine. Make sure that you have a computer or laptop nearby so that we can set the device up with your desktop or laptop. You can also use an iPad or a cell phone to connect to your Cricut machine, but I really recommend using a laptop or computer if you have one because I think it's much easier to learn since not all the features are available on mobile devices. And I do also want to say that Chromebooks are not compatible with Cricut machines. So if you have a Chromebook laptop, you will not be able to use it with your Cricut machine. Okay, let's get started with this unboxing. So for starters, right on top, we have some instructions and an envelope from Cricut. These are some materials to get started with your very first project. Next, we have some more bonus materials that came from Cricut as well. Okay, let's get this Cricut Explore 3 out of the box. Down in the bottom of the box, you should have two different cords. The cord that has the big power box on it is going to be your power cord that actually powers your Cricut machine. And the second cord is going to be an optional USB cord that you can use with your computer. So don't forget to take them out of the bottom of the box. Okay, let's unwrap this Cricut and take a look. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. Next, we can take off all the plastic all the way around the machine, as well as this little tab on the lid. Okay, now it's all ready to go. So now let me show you how to power on your Cricut. You'll see two small areas on the back of your Cricut machine to plug things into. One is a round spot for your power cord, and the other one is a USB shaped cord so that you can optionally use the USB cord to connect to your computer. So go ahead and plug the power cord into the plug on the inside closest to the center of your Cricut machine. Then plug the other end of the power cord into an outlet. Then once your Cricut machine is plugged into an outlet, you'll want to turn it back around and use this button to open it so that we can remove the packaging from around the blade. Isn't it beautiful? Okay, so now we need to remove this little foam piece in between the two blades. Once that's removed, you are ready to power on your new Cricut machine. So you'll find the power button right here on this side above all the other control buttons. Pretty cool, right? Now you need to grab your desktop or laptop computer so that we can get our machine connected to our device. You have two different ways that you can connect to that device. I discussed the USB cord earlier, and you can also connect via Bluetooth, which is what I recommend doing. So now let me open up my laptop and I'll show you how to do that. In order to get started pairing your new Cricut machine with your laptop or desktop computer, make sure that your Cricut machine is turned on and is relatively close to your computer. So I would say within about 20 feet or so. Then you're going to go into your search bar and search for settings. Once you open up settings, you'll want to select devices, and then you'll select add Bluetooth or other device. Then we'll choose that it's via Bluetooth. And you'll see that immediately my Cricut machine pops up as the Explore 3. So I'll go ahead and click it and it will say connecting. If your device does request a pin to connect, then the pin is just 0000. Then once you're connected, you can choose done. Then you should be able to scroll down and see that it is paired in your system. Once your device is paired, you're ready to make your very first Cricut project. If you're having trouble connecting to your device via Bluetooth, or you just prefer to use the USB cord to connect to your device, let me show you how to do that. So we're gonna go back to the two ports on the back of your machine. You want to grab that USB cord that came in your box, and you want the end that's shaped closer to a square. Then you want to turn it so that the inscription on the cord is facing up toward you, and then you can insert it into your machine. Then you can plug the other end of your USB cord into a USB port on your desktop or laptop computer. So now that your brand new Cricut machine is connected to your device, it's time to begin our very first project. So let's gather some materials before going back to our computer. So I'm gonna be doing this project using some of the materials that you should have received in your box. If you have a Cricut Explore 3, a Cricut Maker 3, or a Cricut Joy, you can utilize smart materials, which means vinyl and iron-on or heat transfer vinyl that does not require a mat to be cut. And I'm gonna use those materials because that's what came in the box with some of the newer machines. However, if you have the Cricut Explore Air 2, the original Cricut Maker, or an older Cricut or a used Cricut machine, then you'll want to use regular adhesive vinyl and a cutting mat that looks something like this. You can either use the blue or the green mat. The other tools that you'll need to complete your project are some sort of blank. So a blank is just a blank surface or a plain surface that is ready to be customized with vinyl or iron-on. As a beginner, I really recommend that you start with something flat. So the most ideal thing would be to look around your house and find a journal or a notebook so that it's super easy to customize. But some other options that could work for you could include a coffee mug, a coffee tumbler, or even customizing your machine, or even putting something on the cover sheet of your mat. So feel free to get creative and use what you have so that you can complete your first project. The next thing that you'll need in order to complete your project is your weeding tool of choice. I'm gonna be using a pin pen, which I will link down in the description for you guys, but you may also use a Cricut weeding tool or whatever you have to weed. You'll also need some sort of scraper or squeegee tool. You can also use an old credit card if you don't have one of these handy, as well as a pair of scissors. So once you have your vinyl transfer tape, your cutting mat if you're not using smart materials, your weeding tools, and a pair of scissors, you're ready to do your first project. So let's hop into the computer, we'll create our account on Cricut.com, download Cricut Design Space, and make that first project. So in order to get set up to do your first Cricut project, first we need to go to Cricut.com and create a user ID or a Cricut ID, which is basically just a free account. So open up whatever internet browser you prefer to use and go to Cricut, if I could spell it right, Cricut.com. And it'll open up a page that looks something like this. Then in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a button to sign in. That's where we'll go to either sign into your account or create a Cricut ID. If you already have an account, you can sign in here, or you can click the Create Cricut ID section, and you can type in an email address. Then you can create a password. And of course, you'll want to type in your name and select your country. Then you can check the box to receive emails if you want to. Then you do need to click to agree to the Cricut Terms of Use and Privacy Policy, and then the button will turn green and you can select Create Cricut ID. So once you've created your Cricut ID, next we need to download Design Space and set up our machine. So you can open up another tab and go to cricut.com/setup. Then you'll see a screen pop up like this, and once you agree to the Cricut Terms of Use and Privacy Policy, you'll see a button open up to download Cricut Design Space, so you'll want to click it. And it'll begin downloading in your Downloads folder. Then once it's finished downloading, you can click it to open it, and it will begin installing. And once it's finished installing, you may see a button pop up on the bottom of your browser. You can also minimize the internet and you'll see Cricut Design Space is open. So let's begin by clicking the green Product Setup button. Then you'll click the Sign In button and you can sign in using the Cricut ID that we already created. Then choose the big green Sign In button. Now we'll work on the product setup. So we'll just follow all the prompts to set up the machine that we are using. So we'll choose Smart Cutting Machine. Then, of course, you'll want to click the picture that matches your machine. So I'm going to choose the Cricut Explore 3. Then you'll want to clear some space behind the Cricut machine. Plug the Cricut Explorer 3 into the outlet. And you'll want to use that Cricut Explore 3 USB cord to connect it to your computer. So take a moment to connect it. Then once you have the USB cord connected to your computer, you can click the green Continue button. And it may take a moment to update. It is good to get this update out of the way right away when you first open up your machine because it might need a firmware update immediately. Then we'll choose Update. Then once any updates are complete, you'll hear your machine make some noise, and that's a good sign. So we'll click the green Next button. Then we can register the machine and agree to the terms of use. And you're all set up and registered to go. So we'll click the green Next button to go back to Cricut Design Space. So the first step to making your first project is to follow step number 1 and check that your blade is well seated in clamp B. So you can just open up clamp B and make sure that the clamp goes all the way up to this upper edge and that it didn't shift when in shipping. Then you'll want to be sure that clamp B is closed. Next, you'll want to pull out the smart vinyl that came with your machine. So if your bundle looks like mine, it's a sheet of black matte vinyl, and on the back it says Cricut Smart Vinyl Removable. So you'll want to insert it under the guides on your machine so that it looks something like this. And once you slide your vinyl underneath the white rollers, the loading double-ended arrow should flash, so you'll want to click that to load your vinyl into your machine. Then when it's all ready to go, the play button in the middle will flash. You can click it to begin your first cut. Then when your cut is finished, you can press the flashing unload button again, and that will unload your vinyl from your machine. And now we have our first cut made of vinyl. So let's finish the project together. So once your first cut is complete, then we can close up our Cricut machine and set it aside. The next thing that we need to do with our project is remove all of the excess vinyl that is not a part of our project, and this is a process called weeding. So I'm going to use a pair of scissors and cut this piece of vinyl out of the rest of the sheet. There are several different tool options that you could use to weed your vinyl, so I'm going to show you how to use both of these. This is my favorite weeding tool. This is called a pin pen that I got from 143vinyl.com, so I'll link it for you down in the description. But I know many of you will probably have a Cricut weeding hook, so I'll show you how to use this as well. So let's actually begin with the Cricut weeding hook. The best technique for weeding is to start with the point of your tip facing down toward the vinyl. I'm just going to basically hook the corner and then pull at an angle so that I can remove the vinyl from around the outside of the cut. So once you have that little part hooked, you can just pull at a diagonal angle, and your flower should weed fairly easily. So then you're just going to continue that technique of starting at the top and pulling down each time you need to remove a piece of vinyl. Though it doesn't always pierce all the way through, so you may just have to pick it up with your fingers. Something like this. It's really handy to keep a lint roller nearby because that can keep all of your little pieces of vinyl from sticking all over your room. If you have a pin pen weeding tool like I do, the technique is slightly different for weeding your vinyl. So as you can see, this has a very fine steel tip needle. And so what we're going to do is sort of use it like a pen. We're just going to pierce the vinyl from the bottom and then pull it up instead of pulling down. So we're just going to kind of scoop up the corner of the vinyl and then continue pulling upward on the piece. Weeding takes a little bit of practice, so if this is a little bit frustrating for you at first, don't worry, practice definitely makes perfect. And then lastly, I think we need to weed out the center, don't we? Oh no, there are no cut lines in the center. So when you're all finished, your sunflower should look something like this, or of course you could choose a different image as well. But next it's time to add some transfer tape to our design. And the reason that we use transfer tape is that if you peel up your vinyl like a sticker, sometimes it can get a little bit distorted because vinyl is fairly thin. So we use transfer tape to transfer our vinyl from the backing onto the blank that we talked about earlier, like a journal or a notebook, without distorting it at all. So what I'm going to do is lay my flower on top of my transfer tape so I know how much I need to cut. And I'll trim away a piece that will cover all of my vinyl. Then I'll use my weeding tool to remove the backing from the transfer tape so that one side of it is sticky. Can be a little bit tricky to peel there. There we go. So then we'll peel away the white backing and we'll stick it on top of our vinyl. Now there is a certain way I like to do this. I like to hold my transfer tape with one finger on each end, and I like to push it down toward my decal while I hold it in kind of a horseshoe shape. So you're gonna push down that center part, then you can let down one side with your finger and then the other side. This helps prevent bubbles. So I know you guys can't see it very well. That's why I showed it to you sideways a moment ago. But we're gonna let down that center part first, then let down one side and then the other side. And next we need to burnish our vinyl and transfer tape, which basically just means to rub with a squeegee. So you might be using a scraper tool from Cricut, or you could be using a squeegee tool that looks like this. But either way, you're just going to apply a little bit of pressure to the vinyl and transfer tape. This just helps them stick together so that we can remove the backing and the vinyl will stay stuck to the transfer tape. Next, grab that notebook or journal that we want to stick the vinyl on. So I'm gonna be using this journal and I'm gonna tuck the little elastic piece behind the journal so that it doesn't get in the way. Then what I'm going to do is flip the vinyl decal over so that I can pull the backing off of the back. Just like this. And if you have trouble getting the vinyl off of the backing, then use your squeegee once again and burnish it some more. Then when it comes to placing the vinyl on your notebook, we're gonna follow the same technique that I just showed you with the transfer tape. So I'm gonna keep one finger on each end of the transfer tape and hold it in a horseshoe motion. Then I'll push down the center part first, let down one side and then the other side. And I'm gonna try to center it the best I can. You can see that I'm working on a Cricut self-healing mat, and I love having a self-healing mat down on my table, not only because it protects my table, but I can also use it for objects like this to line it up along the grid lines so that I know that my notebook is nice and square when I'm lining up my decals on projects. So I'll center it the best I can, push down that center part, and then let down the left side and then the right side. And you'll see me kind of push it down with my fingers at first, but then we need to use either a squeegee or a scraper tool to burnish it once again onto the final surface. Vinyl is pressure sensitive, so it requires pressure from a tool in order to activate the adhesive so that it will stick. So again, I'm just going to rub it over top of the vinyl and transfer tape, just like this. And then when you think your vinyl and transfer tape are well stuck, it's time to remove the transfer tape. So I'm gonna peel up one corner of my transfer tape using my finger, or maybe a weeding tool if you need it. And then I'm actually gonna roll it backwards at 180 degrees like this. You don't want to pull up on your transfer tape and remove it that way because that can actually pull back on the vinyl and cause bubbles. So you want to actually pull it off this way at actually 180 degrees. Like this. And if we use enough pressure, then the transfer tape should release fairly easily. And you have your very first Cricut project complete. Great job. I can't believe that you just finished your first Cricut project. Great job. I am seriously so proud of you. But just like your parents have told you your whole life, practice makes perfect, and that is exactly true with Cricut machines and crafting in general. So let's talk about some more steps you can take to continue learning your Cricut machine. The first thing I recommend that you can do right now is to go to my YouTube channel, DIY Alex. You're probably already on it if you're watching this video, but if you go to my YouTube channel and go under the playlist section, you'll find the Cricut for Beginners playlist, which is full of videos for beginners just like you who have literally just opened their Cricut boxes. Feel free to binge all of those videos or any of the videos that interest you that teach you what you want to know. The second thing I recommend that you do is take a workshop from Cricut. At the time that I'm filming this video, they are completely free, and I even teach some of the workshops, so I may see you over at the Cricut 101 workshop if you decide to join us. You can find more information on the classes available and the schedule at inspiration.cricut.com, and I'll also put a direct link to the information down in the description below. Another great way to get support is by joining my Facebook group. We are a kind group of Cricut crafters who are waiting with open arms to answer all of the questions that you have about a brand new Cricut machine. So you can search for it on Facebook. I'll go ahead and warn you now, it's kind of a long name. All the Things Cricut and Crafty with DIY Alex. And I'll also put a direct link to that group down in the description below this video. You'll get really good at finding video descriptions because that's where I link every single thing that I'm talking about. And if you've made it this far in the video, then I really want to get to know you on social media. So please be sure to find me at DIY Alex Vanover on pretty much all major social media platforms. I'll also put direct links to all the platforms I'm on, again, in that pesky description below. And lastly, if you decide to subscribe to my YouTube channel, you'll get notified every time I put out a new video, which is at least once a week. So in order to subscribe, all you have to do is sign into your free Google account. Then you'll see a big red subscribe button appear on my channel, and I definitely recommend that you join us so you get notified every time I post a new video. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more just like it, then be sure to subscribe to the DIY Alex YouTube channel and be sure to ring the bell so that you get notified every single time that I put out a new video every single week. But don't wait for next week's video. Be sure to check out this one next. Or if you want to make your DIY dreams come true, be sure to check out this video. I know that you're going to love it.